Hi friends, today I'm giving you some of my tips for King Dancer pose, which is a flipped grip position. I'm going to go over how I enter the pose, as well as a few different ways you can use a strap in order to modify it, and some poses I use in order to warm up my body before doing this intense heart opener. First things first, of course, you always want to make sure you're properly warmed up before you do any kind of back bending or heart openers. One of my favorite ways to do that for this posture in particular is puppy pose. This really helps open up the armpit, the chest, the front body, and as you work your way on to the point where you can sink the chest low down to the floor, you'll notice a big difference in your shoulder mobility. It helps if you can take your hands into a prayer position, palms together, and then bring them up behind your head as if you are going to grab your foot like we will in our dancer pose. Another one of my favorites is a traditional upward facing dog, where the only parts of your body on the floor are your hands and the tops of your feet. This is great for not only opening up the abdominals, the chest, and the neck, but also the front of the hip flexors, which is really important as we move into King Dancer. Moving with the breath from a child's pose, bringing the weight forward and dropping the hips, lifting the thighs, and then releasing the head as you start to feel more open. Lying on the stomach and grabbing the foot, pulling to your glute will not only help stretch out the front of the thigh, your quad muscles, but also, like I said, the front of the hip flexor. And then one of the last things I do to make sure my lower body is prepped for this pose is a deep low lunge, where you leave the back knee on the floor and let the hips sink low. That's again for the front of this hip flexor, but also for the hamstring on the front leg. Making sure you're letting gravity pull the hips down towards the floor. So instead of supporting yourself with your hands on the mat, but bring them to your heart or up above your head, and then gradually get to the point where you can take a little arch, take the gaze to the sky, and pretend like you're going to reach behind you and grab that back foot. Make sure you're doing everything on both sides so you're nice and open on both sides of your body. Another big part of this is activating the glute and the back muscles. So as you take the arms up, letting gravity sink your hips down low, reaching the heart towards the sky, we activate that glute and the back, activating the core as well to keep our back safe and to help prevent any injury. Next is a few things you can do to increase shoulder mobility for any kind of flipped grip pose. And these are eagle arms. You take one arm and reach it behind the head. Reach the hand as far down the back as you can. Your other arm comes from underneath, and you see if you can grab onto your fingers, holding this position and using the back of your head to press that forearm backwards. As always, try this out on both sides and see which of your shoulders tends to be more open. If you can't quite reach fingertips, always try to use a strap. Basically, drop it down the back as you would with your hand. The other arm comes from behind and you grab onto the strap as close together as you can, and then just inch your fingers towards each other until one day you can meet fingertips and hold on to your hands. Another way to use your strap or rope for shoulder mobility is shoulder flossing, where we grab the rope or strap with straight arms. We lift it up over the head and then behind us, and then come back the way we came. So we inhale to come up, exhale as you lower the arms, inhale back above the head, and exhale down. The goal is to be able to move your hands closer together on the strap and keep the elbows straight the entire time. Also, we're aiming to keep everything else still and only move from the shoulder joint. Try to do at least 10 of these before you practice any flipped grip position. Entering King Dancer begins with presenting the palm to the ceiling and then bending the leg that you're going to use until the foot and hand meet. Pointer finger edge of the hand meets pinky toe edge of the foot, grabbing a hold of the ball of the foot with pointer finger and thumb. Your elbow rotates out and then up towards the ceiling as you activate the back and glute and hamstring. When that elbow is pointed towards the sky, you can then take your other hand, trace it down the elbow and forearm until it also reaches the toe, and then extend as much as possible. So much coordination and strength and mobility goes into this. So if you're not quite to the point where you can connect hand and foot, let's see how we can modify this. When it's a matter of balance, you can always use the wall for support and take this bind with just one arm. When you feel confident you have your balance, you can then reach with your other arm and then make the connection behind the head. Using a strap is a great way to modify as well. One option being to take a loop and tighten it around the ball of the foot so that when you reach from behind, you keep that connection the entire time, holding onto the strap, rotating the elbow outwards just like we practiced, and then holding onto the strap instead of the foot. If you have a long strap available, lie it flat on the mat and step onto it with the leg you're going to raise behind your head. Take both ends of the strap, cross them, and then step your other foot through, lifting the leg behind, and you now have a wrap around that foot. Again, you step on it, cross it in front of you, and then step over that cross with the standing leg. Then you have both arms to raise the foot behind you, opening up both shoulders. When your hands with both ends of the strap meet in the air, you can then combine them and grab closer and closer to the foot. As you practice this, remember that using props is not cheating. That's how we learn and train our bodies. This is a very advanced posture and it will take time and practice. If you have any other questions about this, drop them in the comments, and thanks for watching.